Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Elkton, Kentucky, which is in Todd County. It's a little bit of south central in part of the state, but I am staying next to a place where one of the most controversial American Supreme Court justices was born. We're going to be visiting his grave. We're going to be talking a lot about the guy. His name is James Clark McReynolds. You probably never heard of him. But after finding out some of the stuff that he supported and didn't support, you probably be like, well, how come I didn't learn about him in history? Well, but I'm going to visit his birthplace, and I'm literally right next to it, so here we go. Okay, so I'm at the corner of Main and McReynolds. I imagine this street is named after him, but here is the house. I'll show you that in a minute. 824 South Main Street, home of U.S. jurist Justice James Clark McReynolds, born here in 1862. Home through life. Law practice in Nashville, New York. Assistant United States Attorney General 1903 to 1907. As U.S. Attorney General from 1913 to 1914, known for enforcement of Sherman antitrust law. For 27 years, a distinguished Associate Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court from 1914 to 1941. An opponent of New Deal measures. Died in Washington, D.C. in 1946. This was put up by the Kentucky Historical Society and the Department of Highways in 1965. This is marker number 824. This is one of over 3,000 put up in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And I'm pretty sure it says the same on the back. Yeah, it does. But I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the house. Alright, this was put up on the National Register of Historic Places. I do not know if anybody lives here. Maybe so. But I thought I'd get a little look at it. There is a National Register of Historic Places plaque on it. So I'm going to go ahead and get a little view of that. And yes, this is the house that Mr. McReynolds was born in. He was born to John Oliver and Ellen Reeves McReynolds. Both were members of the Disciples of Christ Church. And John, his father, was active in business ventures and served as a surgeon in the Confederate Army during the Civil War. And this was put on the National Register of Historic Places in 1976. So a little fast forward toward his law career. Now, McReynolds practiced law in Tennessee after graduating from the University of Virginia School of Law. He served as, again, the United States Assistant Attorney General during the Theodore Roosevelt administration. And then after Wilson took office in 1913, he appointed Reynolds as his administration's first Attorney General. And then Wilson eventually nominated McReynolds to the Supreme Court, and he filled the vacancy caused by Associate Justice Horace Harmon Lurton's death. He was on the bench for 26 years. He wrote 506 majority opinions for the court and 157 dissents, and 93 of which were against the New Deal. He was part of the Four Horsemen block of conservative justices who frequently voted to strike down New Deal programs. He assumed senior status in 1941 and was succeeded by James F. Burns. Now, due to his temperament, his bigotry, his anti-Semitism views, and his opposition to the domestic programs of the Franklin Delano Roosevelt administration, McReynolds is sometimes included on lists of the worst Supreme Court justices by progressive-leaning thinkers. And just down the street from that house is the Green River Academy. I'll show you the marker, but yes, this was built in 1835, and it is currently being under construction. Donations are being accepted, but there's fundraisers, and I was asking a local, and he was saying that they're going to make this into a museum/educational center, so definitely going to be put to good use pretty soon, so I hope. And here's a historical marker about it that was put up by the Kentucky Historical Society in 2014. The Green River Academy. In 1835, residents opened the Green River Female Academy to provide a local education for girls. To fund the school, trustees sold subscriptions of stock. They commissioned the erection of the 3-story brick Federal and Greek Revival style building that houses school. I'm going to go over here. The academy was reputedly the beginning of formal education in Todd County. It offered a progressive curricula of philosophy, languages, algebra, geography, and astronomy. Men were admitted to the school in 1861. In his youth, U.S. Supreme Court Justice McReynolds studied here under Major Robert Crumbaugh. Okay, now we're going to visit Elkton Cemetery, which is just north of town. That is the Todd County Courthouse, by the way, up ahead. So now here I am at Glenwood Cemetery in Elkton. It's also mixed with Elkton Cemetery, which is just up that way. Now, it should be noted that McReynolds never married. He was a bachelor Supreme Court justice all his life and didn't have any kids. But he is buried right here with his parents, Dr. John Oliver McReynolds and his wife, Ellen Reeves. And then you also have his sister, Ellen. But on the back, it says here, James Clark McReynolds, 1862 to 1946, Justice Supreme Court of the United States. And according to his wiki page, it is said that in 1946, McReynolds died a very lonely death in a hospital without a single friend or relative at his bedside. No member of the court attended his funeral. In contrast, as the clerk Knox noted, when McReynolds' African-American messenger Harry Parker died in 1953, his funeral was attended by 5 or 6 justices, including the Chief Justice. And also in his will, McReynolds wrote, "Let there be no service in Washington." The U.S. Marshal for the Supreme Court traveled to Elkton for the funeral. The Christian Science Monitor hailed McReynolds in tribute as the last and lone champion on the Supreme Court battling the steady encroachment of federal powers on state and individual rights, stating these later years the pass of Thermopylae. He bequeathed his entire estate to charity, including Children's Hospital in Washington, which he had supported for years, which added a new elevator, and his books and opinions were left to the Library of Congress, and $10,000 and his judicial robe to Vanderbilt University, where he had served for 30 years in the Board of Trustees. So, I hope I gave you a little story and kind of well-rounded and not so biased story about Mr. McReynolds. It's not so often I do Supreme Court justices. I mean, if they are of note, then I'll do some. I mean, do videos on Supreme Court justices, like their birth and death place. But since I'm here right along south of Kentucky, then I just happened to be here, and I thought I might as well get a look at the life of James Clark McReynolds. All right. Well, rest in peace. And thanks for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Elkton, Kentucky, signing off.